In progress.
Welcome, goose, ganners, chickens, and chickadees. This is the Commish dish brought to you by yours truly, Double R Squeeze, and alongside me this year will be the Breeze. We're both happy to have all of you guys along this wonderful journey we call fantasy football. Breeze?
Yeah, man. This is gonna be something special here. Can't wait to bring y'all some good content, and hope y'all enjoy the listen.
Yeah. Well, I guess first off, we'll start it off by, giving back some love to some of the league. And, I know this one in particular has been biting at the bit for some good content. So let's go ahead and start it off because this episode is going to be brought to you by Tatanka Tree Service. Got a pesky pine or big dead oak? Call the tree man, Coulter's Oak. No job too big or too small. He can make any tree fall. Call 979-966-9699 for a free estimate today.
All I can say is I'm glad we are getting the sponsor his content out. I know we're a morning late, but yeah, it's prime time to get the head man his content to him. So hope you enjoy this one, Tatanka.
Well, speaking of prime time, I tell you what, September's here, fall is here. I hung some autumn decor yesterday, and usually I gripe and complain, and this year I was all about it because that means football's here. We had a great weekend already, starting off with the college season. All the important teams won. I can't be mad about anything, and here we go.
Yeah, dude, how is it? How great is it that football season is back? It's hard to believe. Obviously, watching college football is great, but to get NFL season started in 2 days, it's gonna be fun. A lot of games, and just keeping up with fantasy. Once again, another year is here, and it's hard to believe. Fall is already here, and it's time, man. I'm excited, truly excited for this league, especially. It's gonna be something like we've never had before, and it's gonna be great. I think a lot of people are gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, and along those lines, guys, we're here for you all season long. We're going to provide some breakdowns and some insights, and we're going to combine a little bit of real life football with fantasy football with this particular league, and just kind of provide some fun but informative things that might just brighten your day or might change your waiver wire ad or might change your outlook on life. So.
Yeah, I look forward to talking about this league, obviously, but we will, try to bring you some other stuff just here and there, and everything that we think we know, we'll try to relay that on to you. But it's gonna be great. I think y'all are truly gonna enjoy this as much as y'all have enjoyed write-ups in the past. I think this is gonna take it to a new level, and it's gonna be a good time. So I'm looking forward to it. With that being said, I think we jump into some content.
Yeah, let's jump to it. So this one will be, of course, a little bit different this episode, considering we're just getting the league kicked off, and it'll fall into a little more repetition. But the first segment today is going to be the preseason power rankings. These power rankings are brought to you by LCRA. At LCRA, they put a smile on your face by lending a hand and keeping you wet. LCRA, find power in community, find power in Texas.
Let's do it, man.
All right. Well, Brock, I'll hand it over to you. I know that you have the list in front of you in terms of ranking these yahoos and yaw ladies from 14 to 1 as we have come to an agreement. So let's start with 14.
Yeah, let's before I go ahead and put the last place team in the number 14 slide, just to give y'all a heads up, we both rank these teams individually from first to last. And then we took the average and we went ahead and made a final list. We had an original list about a week ago, and then we kind of updated it as some things happened over the last week, and this is the list we came up with. So, with that being said, the number 14 slot goes to the Mister Homecoming 63 himself, Dean Mikey, sliding in at number 14.
Homecoming 63.
Uh, as I get his roster pulled up here,
Well,
there's
I'll go ahead
just
and
a
start.
lot of. Yeah, go ahead. Go
Um,
ahead. You start. I'm trying to get the roster pulled
you
up.
know, I was analyzing his roster earlier, and the man did get two starting quarterbacks on his team. Beyond that, I can't say much about those two starting bodies. Um, I have meh as the QBs in place. With Tua and Sam Darnold, even on their best days, they're still just lower tier, and they're never going to win a week for you. So good bodies to have on there, but starting in one of the most important positions in a super flex league, it's mediocre.
They are QB2s at their finest. And I think in a super flex league, that's going to cause a lot of problems. There are some nice ish position players. Saquon, obviously. Trey McBride is solid, obviously a tight end.
Yeah, so
The receiving group is not bad. They are very old,
they are
which is
old.
going to lead to future problems.
Yeah,
Cooper Kupp, Debo.
Devontae could have another good year. Debo, I'm not having much faith in, but there's always a chance that he could, revitalize himself in Washington. And then Cooper Kupp is the same way, right? So we're looking at a bunch of wide receiver twos. They all kind of do have upside, but really, I'm just not super excited for any of them to really add a big boom potential to this team. His
Yeah,
strong suits definitely come from the running back room. Saquon and Josh Jacobs could easily both be top five this year. Um, and then after that, though, since those aging wide receivers fill out most of his roster, his bench is not really set up well to cover some of those holes or injury weeks. Um, his best position depth wise is at tight end, where he's already good with Trey McBride. That's great to have Isaiah Likely and Elijah Arroyo, but you'll never play them. And if you do, it's probably because you're playing three tight ends.
yeah. And I think we are going to struggle to score a lot of points when, especially when the bye weeks start rolling around. Jaden Blue, I like Jaden Blue. I truly like Jaden Blue. Not where he picked him in the rookie draft. I think there were a lot of other rookies that could have added some otherwise potential to this team. So I think
Yeah.
that was a bit of a reach.
I am
I think
excited to see what Kyle Williams can do in that very scarce receiving room
yes, I think he's got a
in
chance.
New England. And Roman Wilson, he could also do something with A-Rod this year. But other than that, Dean, welcome to the cellar.
Yeah, and Dean, it could be a rough few years, man. It could be a rough few years. But you do have the greatest song name in the history of names because, man, do I love some Keith Whitley. Let's what do you say? Move on to the number
Let's
13 slot.
let's do it.
Yeah, rolling in at 13, we have Mr. Lathan Stahl. Um, let's see here, Mr. Lathan. And I am a little bit scared of ranking you in the 13th spot because I do have to face you week one, so I have a feeling it's come back and bite me in the butt. But yeah, I was a little bit higher, I think, on Lathan than maybe you were. Didn't you want to slot him in the last spot?
You know, I'm a little nervous about some of the pieces that he has um, going on. The quarterback room is very similar to Dean's, whereas he has starters and they're not going to provide much upside. Even CJ Stroud's rookie year, whenever he was this next phenom, his fantasy numbers just weren't anything exceptional. With that said, he does have options coming up. Cam Ward could be, he has some rushing mobility upside. He can chunk that ball to 300 yards if he wanted to. So excited to see how his quarterback room, evolves. But then you look through his positional, content of his roster. And yeah, he has a good piece of Chase Brown, but he pairs that with a Javonte Williams,
Yeah,
who,
that scares me.
you
That
know,
Cowboys running back room scares me.
and you know, it used to be valuable to have the Cowboys running back, but that offensive line is just not what it used to be with Zeke and whoever came after him. So
Yeah, and Tyreek. I mean, what kind of Tyreek are we going to get this year? Brock Bowers, that's a stud. That's probably tight end one overall.
loving
But the
Brock
rest of
Bowers.
the rest of the receivers, man, you're starting Xavier Leggett. Uh, you are starting. Garrett Wilson's a great wide receiver, but who's getting him the ball? Justin Fields going to get him the ball, and then you got Jerry Jeudy. I mean, Joe Flacco may be chunking it around when the Browns are losing,
You
so that
know,
might not be bad. But
I do like Judy. He did get an uptick for me along with the rest of the Browns when Flacco's named starter. So I actually do like Judy as a PPR option on such a deep roster construction. So yeah, it's really going to come down if Tyreek can provide some Tyreek numbers. Because again, I guess Lathan and Dean had some beers and discussed draft strategy because again, the bench is not looking too great, and where he has the most depth is once again at tight end behind a player
yeah,
he will never
the
need to
tight end
replace.
room, the tight end room it's not bad. But what are we going to play? Two or three tight ends in a super flex league, extra flex? Like
Yeah, you want to talk
that's not going to
lack
do as
of
much
upside.
work. Yeah, absolutely. So, what I will say is maybe better than Dean is we got a younger team here. So that might give him the edge longer term, some of these pieces. But the quarterback room is pretty old, so and not really
Yeah,
well. Cam Ward's young, obviously. Spencer Rattler's still young, but Spencer Rattler,
and there's pieces, like
Stroud.
Xavier Legette could have a bounce back year. It took him 3 years in college to go from 100 yards, 100 yards, 100 yards to 1,100 yards. So because he had a down rookie year, looked like Bryce Young might have gotten his game where it needed to be. So, there's at least things here that could go in his favor. Didn't really see that with Dean. There didn't look to be much hope there. So,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Moving on, in the 12 spot, and I actually made this point last night too. I think this team has a case where they could be in the bottom spot. I was not personally very high on them at first glance. It looks all right, but there's some problems. Mr. Cody Schlydog, you are sliding in at the number 12 spot.
don't worry, Schla, I spoke for you.
Yeah, he raised you a little bit in the standings because I could not go any higher than where you are currently at in 12. Um, Now look, here we got CeeDee Lamb. Okay, if Dak is throwing the ball to CeeDee Lamb again, he's a stud. Derrick Henry, yeah. Alvin Kamara, yeah, you're probably going to get a lot of dump offs again. But one huge problem. Here's where I'm struggling. Okay, you know how big I believe in good quarterbacks for this league. Your one starting quarterback, Cody Schley, is Caleb Williams, and you have absolutely nobody else right now. I mean, you have Anthony Richardson if he does take over in Indianapolis, but who knows if that'll ever happen. You're hoping for a backup to get this job, maybe if an injury, but you are starting Caleb Williams in a super flex, and it's Caleb Williams. He's got a lot to prove yet. So that's where the biggest issue lies for me. You got a few nice pieces. Amari and Hampton. If Najee Harris is out for the Chargers, Amari and Hampton is going to be a baller. DJ Moore, I'm not a fan. I mean, you stacked it up with Caleb Williams and DJ Moore. I think that's an issue. I could be wrong, but that's my point. I think there's a legitimate reasoning for Schley to be even lower down, but we'll slide him in at number 12 for now.
The reason I put Schley above those other two is like, yes, he only has one starting quarterback, and he is just as meh. But again, those other two teams had meh quarterbacks, and while they were just clamoring to fill their quarterback spots with whoever was breathing, Schley was putting some playmakers on his team. CeeDee Lamb can win a week. Derrick Henry can win a week. Sam Laporta at the tight end spot can win a week. DJ Moore, 1 out of 8 games, can win a week if you wanted to. And then his running back room is really impressive, especially in a 1 year window, because Derrick Henry is, still going and blowing. Kamara, Austin Eckler, Omarion Hampton are all PPR gods when it comes to the running back room. And then Austin Eckler in his own right, he's listed as RB1. People have kind of written him off because of Bill Krosky Merritt, but he's still there, and he was eating into work of that Washington running back room last year, and I don't think that's going to go away. So, um, but yeah, after that, it's kind of like these other two teams. Jordan Whittington might have something to say in the Rams locker room, but other than that, Sly just I hope for health this year for you because yikes.
Yeah, and if you're looking at, yeah, you do have Omarion Hampton, a young running back, but Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara, as far as future is concerned, we're on our last leg there, so that could be a big issue. Eckler is last leg as well, so yeah, I'm not very high. I could be proven wrong though. There are some good position players, no doubt, but I struggle with the one quarterback being Caleb Williams. Uh, Next up, going on to number 11, Mr. Peach, Mr. Mason, um, slides in at number 11. And let's go ahead and get your roster pulled up, Mr. Mason.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's got um, the moniker of what a safe fantasy quarterback is in Brock Purdy. He's never going to light it up, but he's never going to fail you. He's going to get you 15 to 18 points a week. And then, to go ahead and fill that QB2 spot, Justin Fields could be a crash or burn, which I don't mind because I do know in this league, 14 teams, you do need some boom or bust potential on your roster. And he could break that open. I don't necessarily love the Brock Purdy Christian McCaffrey stack because that's just the wrong way to do about it. Yes, Brock Purdy's going to throw the ball to McCaffrey a lot, but when you're stacking and looking for those, high hitting weeks, Purdy's never going to throw 3 touchdowns to McCaffrey. Well, actually, I say that that's stupid. He probably will, but not on a consistent basis. Um, I do like his two starting wide receivers. They're going to be good for another 7, 8 years. Um, Top 10 dudes there. But then there's holes, glaring holes. You have Kareem Hunt looking at me in the face. You have Calvin Ridley, who is, 32? Not to mention, you have two Tennessee Titans on this team with Chig as your starting tight end. Khalil Shakur, I can't blame you for putting him in there. PPR, you got to eat your fantasy veggies. So, uh, but after that, at least you're backing up CMC with Brian Robinson. You've got Quinshon Judkins, who just signing and getting going. So you've got that. I love Torrey Horton this year and next year. I love Torrey Horton there. And there's some big buzz coming out of the Detroit room and Isaac Tesla too. So
Yeah, here's what I'll say. I'll touch on a couple players. I am out. Justin Jefferson will still be really good this year, but I just don't. I can't trust JJ McCarthy getting him the ball. I think it takes him down just a little bit to where he's not going to win you weeks. He still will be great, I'm sure. Brian Thomas Jr. I love BTJ. You know that from last year. I love Brian Thomas Jr. I'm all in on that. McCaffrey, I think, has a big year. I think he has a big bounce back year, but I don't like the stack with Brock Purdy. You touched on Kareem Hunt. That's a big problem. Another person I'm out on Quinshon Judkins, man. I know he's signing his contract. I know he's just getting going, but I'm just not sold on him. He will be a probably solid running back, but not upper level. I don't think ever in his career. Could be wrong, but that's just my take on Quinshon Judkins. I avoided him in all rookie drafts. So yeah, Mason, we actually had you slotted, I think, lower in the original rankings about a week ago, and you got bumped up a couple spots. But you will slide in at, what are we on, number 11 here? Gonna slide in on number 11 for the preseason power ranking. Moving on up one spot to number 10, Mr. Goon Gooch Slick slides in at the 10 spot, cracking the top 10 to begin the year. Mr. Goon, let's take a look here. We have a great start with Josh Allen for a super flex. Scrolling down, I think I see obviously Justin Herbert's a great second quarterback, but I start seeing the issues here in our starting lineup. We have Keenan Allen. Maybe 6 years ago, maybe even just 3 years ago, we are talking about a good Keenan Allen, but I think that's a problem this year. Michael Pittman Jr. Can Danny Dimes get Michael Pittman Jr. the ball? We shall see. And Joshua Palmer, I just don't know if he's going to have enough targets to be productive in Buffalo. Obviously, when Josh Allen is chucking you the ball, that's never a bad thing, but I think that's some of the glaring holes here. Brees Hall, man, Brees Hall, I think it's a matter of weeks before Braylon Allen is causing Brees Hall some major issues. Scary Terry is a good pick. I'm in on Scary Terry now that he signed his contract. I like Scary Terry this year. I've never been a fan in the past, but I think he's a good wide receiver. But I don't know if there's enough other pieces here to get you maybe even into the playoffs this year. What you think?
Yeah, I love the quarterbacks. You have number one in Josh Allen. You have a really high upside, but very high floor as well in Justin Herbert, very efficient quarterback. George Kittle's going to, anchor your tight end position. I'm not a Terry McLaurin fan. I can see his value. But yeah, and other than that, it just looked like you were kind of that Goon was trying to just force the stacks here. He had Josh Allen, so he felt the need to take Josh Palmer. He had Justin Herbert, so he took Keenan Allen. Not every stack is a good stack. Um, I like having Brees in this lineup because he has super high upside, because he actually has, unlike a lot of these people this year, have some running back depth. Ollie Gordon could come to play this year. Cam Scatterbo could come to play this year. Najee might not be dead yet, right? And so he has some players in the running back room that he could work with. That's why he's not all the way down the bottom, but he's still not a key player. He's still not a playoff team because he could piece together some wins, but we'll see how far, his stud Josh Allen takes him.
I think maybe Joe Mixon. I don't know what round he took Joe Mixon in, but I don't know if Joe Mixon plays this year, which hurts me in another dynasty league. But Joe Mixon not playing this year, if you drafted him a little bit higher up, that could be a problem. Here's who I am high on, and we'll touch more on this whenever we get to a team later on in the rankings. I am very, very high on Ollie Gordon, so that might be a piece. I'm not high on Scatterbo actually, but Ollie Gordon, I like me some Ollie Gordon. I was actually hoping to get him. We'll touch more on him a little bit later on.
That's
But
funny you
Ollie
say
Gordon is a
that,
man I
meaning
like.
I remember when I brought up Ollie Gordon probably 7 months ago, talking about how I was going to take him in a dynasty, and you laughed in my face. Was that
I
a
did actually. I did.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think landing spot and potential role. We'll touch more later. Yeah, we'll leave it at that for
Mm.
now. But I'm all in on Ollie Gordon. I think that might cause you some problems maybe in this league a little bit, but we'll see.
Could be,
We'll
could
see.
be.
Uh, Gooch, you slide in at number 10. Up to single digits now. Number 9, Jay Louie from Best Ball. You are sliding in at the number 9 spot. Uh, let's see. Why did we slot you right outside? By the way, 8 teams make the playoffs in this league, so if we're sliding Jay Louie in at 9, he is the last non-playoff team. If I'm thinking here correctly, as I'm pressing on the mouse trying to find something here. Um, so, Jay Louie, you are right on the cusp of playoffs, but not quite. Let's look. We have Bijan Robinson, David Montgomery. That's a solid RB2, but I do think Jahmyr Gibbs is just going to be too electric to keep him off the field. David Montgomery will still get his touches, but Jahmyr Gibbs is that's his backfield in my opinion. He's just too good. Yeah, we have some problems towards the other parts of this roster. Baker Mayfield is solid, but can he do it again? And I mean, he's not elite in my opinion to trust him. Geno Smith, he's a solid quarterback. Puka is good. Puka is a real good wide receiver one. But then we start looking at Jawan Jennings. Is he going to be healthy and produce? Jacoby Myers, Gino and Jacoby Myers stack. Matthew Golden. I think he's got a chance to have a good rookie year, but um, nothing. Mark Andrews. I mean, what Mark Andrews are we going to get? Are we going to get the weeks where he absolutely disappeared last week, or is where he's catching multiple touchdowns a game? I guess. I think he has a good year, but he did show last year he can absolutely disappear at times. So what Mark Andrews are we getting? Rasheed Rice is a solid piece once he gets back from his suspension. That is a solid piece that you're going to be getting back. What's he suspended? 6 weeks? Is that
Six
right? The
weeks.
first week, 6 weeks. So um, yeah, you have a solid piece coming back to fill one of those wide receiver spots, but you have a chance to make the playoffs, Jay Louie. You're right on the cusp, but just not sold quite yet.
Yeah, he's on the outside looking in. He has some cornerstone pieces. He has Bajan, sorry, that's the new pronunciation.
Bajan,
Bajan, yeah. Uh, Puka, even then, I've
did
never
he
been a Puka
change
guy.
that recently?
No, he's actually always been known as Bajan. They just had it wrong,
But it's just like,
kind of like the A Chain situation. It's always been A
how
Chain, but
does
we
it?
just called him A Chain. Yeah.
So it's Achan and
And I know
Bijan.
your question was, how did you know that? Well, it's my job as the host to provide this kind of
Yeah, I
information to you
guess you're
guys.
ahead of me.
Um,
Um,
I like Baker. The offense hasn't changed. He still has the same pieces around him, and with incoming rookie, he has some people to throw the ball to. Gino, I fear, might be a wasted QB2 spot. Gino, even at 34 years old, is still a good quarterback, but under Pete Carroll and this Ashton Genty movement and run the ball and play defense, you might see games where Gino throws the ball 14 times at tops. And unfortunately, that also means bad thing for Jacoby Myers because those targets are all going to go to Mr. Brock Bowers, and maybe even some of these high-end freshmen that are coming in, like Deontay Thornton. I think this is finally the year where Jacoby Myers, the story comes to fruition. He no longer gets the benefit of being the only guy in town, and he's not a player. And then other pieces on this roster, Jawan Jennings, there was a short window where, he was Mr. Necessary, but people are starting to get healthy again in San Francisco. Um, David Montgomery, I love it as an RB2, but at the same time, it's not promised. They're under a new offensive coach, and that guy might come in because I know what I would do if I came over and I started taking over that Detroit Lions offense, and I'd say, "You see that guy, Jameer Gibbs? We're getting him the ball a million times. Monty, go take a seat." So there are pieces around this team that I like. There's just some holes, and that's kind of why you're in the kind of middle of the pack. I like Byshal Tootin that he might rise through the ranks in Jacksonville. And like Breeze said, Rasheed Rice, that's really going to fill your holes in your flex spots whenever he comes back after 6 weeks. So you just have to keep yourself alive till then.
yeah, I think you touched on some good things there. Jacoby Myers requested a trade about a week ago. Am I correct?
You are
Uh,
correct.
I'm not. I don't know if a trade does him any fantasy good. I guess it would depend on where he ends up. It doesn't sound like they're trading him, so that's a kind of a point that doesn't really matter. But yeah, I just don't think there's enough passing volume in that Raiders offense to make Gino and Jacoby Myers a worthwhile stack. Um, with that said, moving on to number 8, and this would be the start of playoff teams in our 18 playoff. Um, Mr. G Bag, Greg, sliding in at number 8 as our last, I guess, last playoff team. It would be Mr. Gregory. Let's take a look here.
Yeah,
Why did
so
I never find the right button to begin with? This
we're
is a
back
little
to the
confusing.
two QB room of JJ McCarthy and Bryce Young. Two young guys that have a lot of potential, but they are still basically unproven. I know Bryce Young came on strong at the end of last year, but with such a abysmal rookie season, he still has a lot to prove. So he has bodies in his QB room. We'll see if they pay off. neither one is a high upside option. Neither one runs the ball too much. Bryce Young ran a little bit, but when it comes to actually high upside mobility, it's just there's not a lot of points coming out of the QB room for this guy. I really like the wide receiver room for Garbage, T. Higgins, Nico Collins, Mike Evans. I mean, that's a trio for a 1 year window that could just absolutely bolster this roster to playoff contention. Jahmyr Gibbs, as we just mentioned, all the touches probably this year. Uh, Jalen Warren has the job right now. We'll see what Caleb Johnson does in the future, in terms of taking over. And yeah, there's some pieces, if you needed to. I like Rashad Bateman as a bench piece. Adam Thielen could always provide PPR value down the road if you ever need a spot fill. And then let's not forget the big glaring one is this year's elephant in the room, Ashton Genty. We'll just have to see. That's really just a wait and see kind of player, and it could be a league winner.
Yeah, I mean, looking at these okay, so he has Jalen Warren in his second running back spot and Ashton Genty down towards the bottom, which whatever, it doesn't matter where you put him, obviously. But if you move Ashton Genty up to that second running back spot next to Jahmyr Gibbs, is that the I don't know, I have to take a deeper dive into this, but Jahmyr Gibbs and Ashton Genty, that is a potent look here. I do not have Jahmyr Gibbs in any leagues, and I am man. I wish I did. I heard the other day while David Montgomery was out last week for 4 weeks, he averaged 30 points a week in that 4 week stretch. Obviously, David Montgomery is back and healthy, but like you said, how do you not give Jahmyr Gibbs the ball just over and over and over? And how does he? I mean, just not get look after look after look. Ashton Genty, I think the best running back prospect, obviously, in however long. I think he's going to live up to the hype. Um, Jahmyr Gibbs, Ashton Genty, that can carry in some weeks. Nico Collins, yeah, Nico Collins is. This sounds outrageous. Nico Collins, what? Here's a question for you. Nico could finish as high as what wide receiver this year overall in PPR?
I
Could
mean,
he? I would not pick him to be wide
I'd say
receiver one.
I'd say six
Six? That's all
is
you're
the
giving
high.
him?
That's the highest I could go for Nico.
Okay, who do you have above him? Name it above him.
Let's see. I would go Jamar, um, Drake London. I would go
Drake
CeeDee
London.
Lamb,
Okay.
uh, Amon Ra. Well, you're kind of proving my point. Maybe I can put him in the top five.
So Justin Jefferson, you still think he finishes above?
I like JJ. I just really don't know what that's going to look like in terms of scheme and him getting the ball, and him, and I kind of see him and Nico in more of the same tier. Um, yeah,
Who are
and
we
then
missing? Surefire. I mean, who else was drafted first round? Puka.
I'm not
I
a
think
Puka. I'm
Nico
just
has a
not a
better
Puka
year than
fan.
Puka.
I don't know why. I've
Yeah.
just never been a Puka fan.
Brian Thomas Jr. I know you don't like him as much. Brian Thomas Jr. is a stud. He's
Put
kind
it
of
this
like
way,
he's kind of like
Brian
he's kind of like
Brian Thomas
Nico.
Jr. has a better chance of being wide receiver one in fantasy this year than does Nico.
Okay, I can live with that. Um, I think they're about even. If I, I think Nico could have a better year than CD. Um, I think Jamar is the only surefire guy I think Jamar finishes wide receiver one again. That Bengals defense is terrible. They're going to be throwing the ball a ton, and Jamar Chase is an absolute just elite option. Um, I think Nico could go. I think Nico could slide up in top three area. I think he's going to get the ball that many times. I don't think the Texans can run the ball. I think their offensive line is horrible. I think Nico is obviously the clear number one choice. So yeah, I think Nico could slide in the top three. Side note: we have a little note at the top I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yeah, we have 2.5 minutes left.
Yeah. We'll make this work. But yeah, didn't mean to get off track here, but I
Well, let's just finish up with Garbage's team. The only other thing that I saw was like, okay, ho hum, boring Zach Ertz at tight end, but they're sitting at the very bottom of his bench, Kyle Pitts,
Pitsy.
and you could say it every year. What if this year? What if Michael Penix does something? Because I tell you what, if Kyle Pitts does anything remotely close to what people thought he would do with this roster, with Jameer Gibbs, T. Higgins, Nico, Ashton Genty, this could be a team that could make a big push.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree, and I think a lot of it depends on is JJ McCarthy. Who is JJ McCarthy? What is he going to bring? We know Bryce Young is improving, but can he take that next step in that Panthers offense? We shall see. Tyler Shuck is not going to do anything for you ever. He couldn't even win the starting job over Spencer Rattler. Even if he becomes a starter, he is a nothing. Towards the bench, Jack Beckett sounds like what's his name? You brought him up earlier. Deontay Thornton is actually ahead of Jack Beck,
Yeah.
which nobody saw coming. Romeo Dobbs is fizzling out in my opinion. So yeah, the bench is kind of iffy, except for which is understandable in this league. Pitsy could be an option, especially to take over for Zach Ertz eventually down the line. So yeah, G Bag, we got you at number 8, the last playoff spot. But the last playoff spot is better than no playoff spot at all.
That's it.